Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Just doing a sound check.
Yes, I can hear you just great.
Great.
I'm going to rename myself.
Glad you could join us. Carolyn said that there were going to be some of you guys from the board. So
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking with you all about this project. It's been something I've been thinking about for a little over a year. So good to see us getting the connections that maybe we can help move it forward.
that would be terrific. Well, we'll have a few more minutes this evening after people gather of brief announcements and short reports, and then we'll turn it over to Carolyn and you guys to talk about the proposed project for the balance of the session. So glad you could join us, Eric.
And I do have a short slide deck. Would I be able to present that?
Yeah, you can share. You should be able to share if you want to check it now. But this is set to allow sharing, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, let's just double check that. Yeah, we look great.
Good. It's coming up.
Great, thank you.
Yep, there we are.
Perfect.
Super.
How long do your meetings normally last?
45 minutes to an hour. So depending on the discussion and how many more early announcements prior to the main speaker is basically what drives that. And our attendance has varied pretty dramatically throughout the Rotary year. So we'll see what kind of turnout we get this evening. I hope we have a good crowd, but we'll see.
Great. Carolyn just suggested a quick 5-minute intro from me. So that's what I'm going with.
Oh, super. Well, that intro and then Q&A from people who are on, and make sure that you know we have an opportunity for you guys to tell the story. The project.
And this will be very informative to me as well. I haven't worked in the nonprofit world. I come from a university background and have written grants to NIH and NSF. So this is all fairly new to me. So it's exciting to learn this new avenue.
Aha. Yeah. Well, Carolyn's been involved in many of these over a long period of time, and the funding vehicles, the grants themselves format has changed a bit over time, but she's pretty experienced with all that. So
yeah, she's definitely done a great job of hooking us up and looping us in on all the details that she can provide. But having this forum, I really like talking about this kind of thing. So I'm just excited for this opportunity no matter what.
Well, terrific. Nice to meet you.
How long have you been? I don't want to take you away from whatever you're up to, but
I'm just launching the meeting, and I had one. Often I have this happen, but I'd seen one email notification that someone had joined my meeting, so they're not here now, but a particular named person had joined, and I don't see them now. But often people are either just checking out the link or bumping on it or something. So, but I like to start the sessions, get the meeting up and running a little bit ahead of time. So, I think you were asking how long I've been involved.
Yeah, what got you involved in Rotary, and how long have you been there?
Well, my wife has asked me to stop saying it, but I've been sleeping with a Rotarian for about 25 years. And as I got closer to retiring, I have a lot of friends in the Livermore Noon Club, and I got tired of having my arms twisted, and also they changed the attendance requirements so that it was possible to attend without having a commitment to be there every time without fail, which they had provisions so you could make up and so forth. But hi, Carolyn. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi,
That's
Carolyn.
Eric. Hi.
Yeah, good to meet you in face to face or face to screen.
Yeah.
Good evening, Wendy.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you.
Yes, indeed. And
And
Eric,
Ryan said that he would be joining, but he may not have his camera on because he might be in the car.
Say that again.
Ryan Klausnitzer said he would be joining, but he might not have his camera on because he's in the
Oh.
car.
All right. That'd be fine. Whatever works. I know he had said it would be a problem.
And Eric, are you the folks who have the mosquito problem?
Yeah, we have we're trying to solve mosquito problems in Africa. One of my coworkers, so we got invited. So you guys are going to get the secret back lot tour. My colleague was invited to present at the Pan-African
Oh,
Mosquito Control Convention in Rwanda last year.
Oh, wow.
And that's where, they invited our district there to go there to start talking about, local governments and how it can be leveraged to support a mosquito control program like we have in the county, here in Alameda County. And so he talked about governments and what it took to form our organization in 1930. And then he got to thinking, well, could we do something similar in Africa? And his church had provided funding to purchase a tractor that is being used in Ethiopia right now. They spent about $46,000, and in the first year, it generated over $400,000 in revenue from crops.
wow.
And so he was thinking, well, this would be great if we could apply that we could do that elsewhere, and then slide in a little bit of mosquito control as well. So that
Eric,
was.
I have a question before we hear more about your project. Is removing wetlands a good thing other than for mosquitoes? I mean, here we're trying not to remove wetlands, right?
Right. No, I don't think that removing wetlands, well, I guess.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can't hear
And how
you. We can't see you.
Okay. All right. My name is Derje Alamayo. I am originally from Ethiopia. I work at Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District with my supervisor in the lab, our lab director, Dr. Eric Haas, and our general manager, Ryan. So I like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this.
Well, Daraji, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're not giving our presentation yet. We're
Okay.
waiting for people to come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
there's a-
had a question. This is Wendy. I just had a question.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wendy, just to answer that question, from my perspective, I have a strong ecological, I value the ecologies of, natural habitats. But I also understand the competing interests of people wanting to eke out a living. And so I think that there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
I think that in the Bay Area, I think that we swung too far.
Yeah,
The
agree.
pendulum to eliminating wetlands that are important for supporting, wild habitats. But that happened during a time when there were not very good alternative control approaches.
Mhm.
So habitat modification was really the only game in town. Whereas now we have some very effective biological control,
Right.
and we also have very effective, what we call chemical control, but is a chemical control that's using a biological product.
Okay.
So what we use in the wetlands right now is a bacteria that we kill. And that bacteria, when the mosquito larvae ingest it, it breaks their intestine.
Oh, goody. I like
So,
that.
so it's very targeted. And the mosquito control approach that we're suggesting for Ethiopia leverages both approaches. One is removing some of the water where mosquitoes can reproduce, but only for the purpose of irrigating the farmland
Okay,
that's being produced. And then, although wouldn't be supported by Rotary, is we have another arm of this program where we're suggesting that some of the proceeds of the farming be used to purchase the same products that we use in the San Francisco Bay Area for mosquito control. So that would limit the desire, if you will,
mhm,
to modify those wetlands.
right. I lived in Africa for a year and a half. And I went to Ethiopia, and because of the places that I went to, which are all the tourist areas, I actually don't remember seeing any wetlands, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think that in the area that we're talking about, this is highlands.
Okay, yeah, no, I
Um,
was not in the highlands.
Yeah, so this is the images that Derje has shared with me. It's not that type of wetland habitat that we think of in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay, thank you.
I also just wanted to welcome Ryan this evening, and we're just giving us a few more minutes to see who all is available this evening and can join us. And I see John Winston's coming on as well. Good evening, John.
Hey, John,
Hi, John.
Wendy,
how are you?
Hi, Ryan.
hanging in there.
Hi there.
I understand you're driving, Ryan.
I just got home, but I'm managing kids, so I'm, you may see me a flourish on my end, so that's why I'm staying off camera for now.
All right.
Good evening, John. Nice to see you this evening. The second John.
Yeah, good to see you, Pat. How's everything going?
All right. All right.
Good. Thanks for putting this meeting together.
You betcha.
That's our quota of Johns for tonight.
We got the H and the non-H, so we're good to go.
I had the H beat out of me when I was a little kid.
It's fun.
John
It's fun.
Flanagan, what Rotary Club are you with?
I'm with the Santa Cruz Sunrise Rotary Club.
Okay, and are you going to be taking over for John Winston? Is that what I heard? No,
No one can take over for John Winston.
that I know. I was getting a little scared, but
Come on.
However, Pat Coyle is much easier to take over for.
okay.
That's
the
not
one.
true.
Disagree, completely disagree with that.
That's not true, Pat.
But I appreciate John Flanagan agreeing to step up and do the international chair role. So I'll be stepping down at the end of this season, which is coming fast. So
Yeah,
Sure is.
So
Wh-
which club are you with, Wendy?
I'm with Los
Wendy?
Altos. Los Altos.
Ah, okay.
We were just talking,
Been-
Pat, on another meeting with Sangeeta and John Winston. If you have some time in the next 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even the next couple weeks, I'd certainly like to have a 30-minute overview of what worked, what didn't work, best practices,
you
just
betcha.
whatever brain trust you can download my direction. I would love that.
I'd be
So-
happy to do that. We're
Great.
getting ready to travel, and we'll be leaving on Friday, and then we'll be back the 3rd of July. But then I'm around, so
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is after the 3rd of July?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, I'll make a note of that.
sounds good.
Where are you off to?
We're off to Madison, Wisconsin, where our one and only grandchild lives, and so we're there to do some assistance. His mother is traveling to Singapore for a conference and a major award, and we're there to be backup and help our son with the care of this 14-month-old child. So
Ooh,
and
what
the
a
nanny
joy.
is there as well. So hi, Barbara. Nice to see you this evening.
Hi,
Hi,
Barbara.
Barbara.
Hi there.
Barbara.
Sorry, I'm a little late. I'm here.
we will be seeing you next Monday, right, Barbara?
Yes, Wendy, I'm very excited. Thank you so very much.
You will enjoy the food too.
Oh, how do I get invited to that?
Man, me too.
generally, once a year, our World Community Service celebrates our accomplishments for the year, and that's what's coming up. We have our meeting at Chef Chu, which is in Los Altos. And we have been able to squeeze Barbara in to do a presentation because of her due date for whatever. I don't remember exactly about the female reproductive system and HPV in Nepal, but it's somewhere along that.
Yes, you got it.
Cervical cancer.
Cervical cancer elimination through HPV.
Preventing, yeah,
Preventing.
preventing cervical cancer.
Right.
Yep.
Female reproductive health.
So Ryan and Eric, and is it Deraji? Do I say it correctly? Yeah. Rotary has projects all over the world, and you're seeing some of the elite people in our district on the screen right now. So good audience.
Well, it's a great opportunity to meet you all this way. I'm new to all of this, and so I'm looking forward to learning a lot.
If you're taking on a global grant, you will by force learn a lot.
You will.
I've done grants for NIH and NSF, but that was the academic world. This is the nonprofit, and it's not very different.
But grants are grants.
And it'll be
But
great to hear your
each-
thoughts on that, on how the Rotary grants compare to the type of hoops you have to jump
Yeah,
through.
that would be good, John. You're right. Yeah.
I looked at the application and it doesn't look as crazy.
That you're the
Each
first person I've
source
heard
has
say
its
that.
own ins and outs. Yeah.
Who's ever said that before, John? Come on.
Well, maybe I need to look at it more carefully, but that was just my first blush.
Well, you know, I want to be sensitive.
Well, wait till we get into the implementation. That's the tricky stuff. Yeah.
Barbara and Wendy have some road rash from global grants. They could tell you about them.
Mine have healed, John.
Thank
It's
goodness.
been too long.
Yeah, you were, you back in the day before the new what do they call it? This new vision, I'm blanking on
Future vision.
Future vision. Thank you.
Future vision.
Yeah, it was even worse back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have a little bit of an inside track because Karen Berner from our club is joining the district review team.
Yes, she is.
Good for her. Good
So,
for Karen.
We are
That's
so
great.
we're
happy.
hoping that will help us going forward.
You think you're going to get preferential treatment? Is that what you said?
Or just clarity, early clarity.
That can be very helpful. When I got my first grant from USDA, they initially rejected it. And so I called up the program officer and I said, what was I missing? And she said, well, you're missing this one little thing. And if you send it to me now, I'll fund you for $120,000.
Oh,
And
gee.
I said, well, I will get that to you right away.
What was that one little
I
thing?
guess.
Scribbled on the back of $100 bill.
Yeah, exactly. No, they wanted something about pitfalls. And so that was where the ranking of the grant got knocked down. And so I was just like a few points from funded on their scale.
Wow.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started here? I was hoping we'd have some more people come, and if they do, we can certainly ramp them up. Before we do, I had one brief announcement. One of them went out with the agenda, and that was that Bernie Kempen from the Castro Valley Rotary is looking for support on a global grant application to form a bicycle riding club for disaffected youth in Victoria, South Africa. So there's a little information about that and in the agenda and the write-up. And if you're interested, please contact him. Habir Batia had also hoped to join us for a quick update on the Ukraine situation. If she drops in, we can circle back to her. I said 5-minute max, Habir, which is hard for her to do, but she can. And so with that, what I would be inclined to do is we can see if others join us, but just go ahead and take us away, team from Alameda and from the Mosquito Board. So.
Great.
Okay, I'll start and introduce our team and the basic issue, and then turn it over to those who know more about it. I'm Carolyn Schutz-Baysdorfer from the Rotary Club of Alameda, and Ryan Klausnitzer, who is on sound but not on camera, is a member of the Alameda Rotary Club. And, you know, it's interesting how we get tied into projects. Ryan is a fairly new member, but he was our treasurer. And turns out he works for the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District. And two of his colleagues who are with us also this evening also are from that agency. And Deraji happens to be from Ethiopia. So how we get tied into projects is through human links. And I think this is wonderful that we get interest and dedication to the projects because of who we are and who we know and where we work. So that works fine. So Ryan approached me. I'm the chair for international service for the Rotary Club of Alameda. And Ryan approached me and he said he and his colleagues have this interesting activity going on in Ethiopia that relates to mosquitoes, but which is also an economic development agricultural project, as you will hear. And so I got interested, and other members of our club got interested, and we connected with Eric and Deraji, and are hoping to move ahead with a global grant next Rotary year, which, as you know, is July 1. The Rotary Club of Alameda is not very wealthy in global DDF, so we're hoping that we will be able to attract some more partners to join us in this project, which I think is kind of exciting. And Wendy, if you've been to Ethiopia, you have a special interest too. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric and Deraji to present what they're proposing, and then if you're interested in, you can ask questions. If you're interested in either more information, or if you have some global DDF for next year that you'd be willing to submit to our project, please contact me. I'm in the district directory. Pat could connect you with me. Anybody can connect you with me. So we'll hope that there'll be some interest generated. If you're not interested, but you know someone else who is, please spread the word. So where do we begin? Eric, Deraji?
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. What I had imagined how Deraji and I would go through this is we have a slide deck that we put together that I will sort of kick off our discussion with. And then it's about 5 minutes. And then from there, both Deraji and I are happy to answer questions. Deraji is, of course, much more knowledgeable of this than I am. So he will be leading the question section. So with that, I'm going to share up my screen. Does that sound good to you, Carolyn?
Fine, go.
Great. Okay, well, I hopefully can make this go. Okay, so what we have is, I'm trying to get a full screen sharing going. There we go. So
you're okay.
Great. So as I mentioned, My name is Eric Haas Stapleton. I'm the laboratory director at Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District. And Derje Alamehu is on with as well. What we are proposing is a program that we have branded MATE, or Mosquito Abatement Through Empowerment. And this is really founded in our experience in mosquito control in the San Francisco Bay Area, and in Derje's experience with helping to develop villages in Ethiopia to be economically sustained. And so in the San Francisco Bay Area, you might not know this, but in the late 1800s, much of the San Francisco Bay Area was ringed with mosquito production sites. And from the 1800s until the current decade, that has been diminished for a lot of reasons. But one of the upshots of that was that it reduced a lot of the mosquito production sites in the San Francisco Bay Area, which helped with developing the area economically. Of course, it was not the only thing, but if you are not harassed by mosquitoes or the diseases they spread, you can focus on other things in your life. And this is our goal for bringing to these villages in Africa by helping to bring more productive farming activity. And so the root of this MATE program is really centered around empowering economic growth that also supports mosquito control. And it's a really simple idea. Obtain a tractor, use it to farm and increase community wealth, and then also use the tractor to divert water for farming and for mosquito control. Those are the three parts. It's pretty simple. And that's what this program is seeking to develop. And we know that this can be successful. Derje's church in 2020 partnered with an organization called the Yotor's Farming Organization, and they bought the tractor that's shown on this slide, and they delivered it to a village in Ethiopia. And that investment of a single tractor in 1 year generated over $400,000 in revenue in the mung beans that they farmed. So that's a approximately $40,000 investment that in 1 year generated $400,000 in revenue, and it's done so in the year following. This is a video of the farmers, the Yotor farmers in that community working to harvest those mung beans. And so they're diligent and really engaged. These are the village leaders talking about how they've used that tractor to develop their economies and become more independent. So with this idea in mind that Derje developed with his church, he wanted to integrate mosquito control into it because he knows that malaria really burdens those communities. And even though economic growth can help with that, having the knowledge of mosquito control is crucial as well. And so he began on the mosquito control end of it, laying the groundwork. He obtained approval from the health ministry to train people to do mosquito surveillance. He has put together a community assessment survey in line with what Rotary International requires for the grant program. And that survey was translated into the local languages and has been administered, and the results are in the process of being tabulated. So he's moved along pretty far with this. And as I mentioned, he's partnered with a local university, an entomologist there that's been training these Yotor leaders in monitoring mosquito abundance so that they're ready when the tractor arrives to begin the mosquito control, because they already know how to do the farming. They've already demonstrated that, but they needed this piece of the puzzle to bring it all together. And so that's what we're here for, is to talk about funding a tractor to use for farming that will increase the economic growth. We anticipate that tractor will cost about $39,000, and that will support 300 households. We're not looking for support for mosquito control. We're going to seek funding elsewhere for that. So this is strictly for economic development and growth from Rotary International. And a tractor in this community will transform it. It will allow the people that live here to move from using handheld tools, basically subsistence farming, into something that's mechanized that will allow this community to grow and develop economically. And there's a group on the ground already, Yotor farmers, that are thrilled to take this project and bring it into the people in those communities. They were successful before. We don't have any reason to believe why they wouldn't be successful again. And so that's really the upshot of the MATE project that Derge conceived of, and that I'm just here to, put a little bit of polish on and help them move it through, given the experience that I have with writing and funding grants for USDA, NSF, and NIH when I was a university professor at Cal State Long Beach. And with that, I'm happy to take questions, and Derge as well is here to answer questions as well.
It looks like Don
I'd like
Flanagan's
to
got one
add-
too. Go ahead, Carolyn,
Yeah.
whenever. We can hold
No,
John's
I'd just
question
like
for a
to
moment.
add another aspect. Thank you, Eric. A very excellent presentation. The other thing that we're working on is the issue of a partner Rotary Club. And as some of you know, that isn't always easy. And there's a difficulty in that district of clubs that are qualified to accept partnership in global grants. And so I've been researching that, and Cecilia Babkirk has been helping us with that. And we have now identified, I think there were 4, weren't there, Eric? 3 or 4? 3,
Yes.
4 maybe, that we think might be of interest to us. And so we're working on that end, and hopefully by the new Rotary year, we will have a partner on the ground there.
And maybe
So,
Derge can speak. Oh, sorry, Carolyn.
Go ahead.
Maybe Derge
Go ahead.
can speak to that. I sent him forward those contacts, and I believe he was on the phone today trying to see what he could grab up. Has anything come of that
Oh,
yet, Derge?
good.
You're muted, Derge.
I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Derje. So thank you, Eric, for excellent presentation. I would not have done it any better. So thank you for that. And thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everybody. Yes, I did speak with Helen, who is the head of Yotor. She lives and works from Sweden, and she manages this project. And these are a bunch of good people, and I'm really delighted to work with. So I did speak with her, and I gave her those 4 names and numbers, and we have already looking at them online, and we've picked a few of them to make a contact, and I passed on that to her. So we should be able to have some information as to if they are willing to work with us or not.
Good.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That's great. Other questions
Yeah, go
about
ahead, John.
the project?
John's got his hand up.
Eric, thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate your time and effort. My question to you is this: do we have an understanding of how long we can expect a tractor to last, what the maintenance cost and expectations would be, gas costs. And then also when you brought up the $400,000 in revenue, was that like a delta of 400,000, or was that, or were they generating 100,000 and now it's 400,000 and so the difference is 300,000? Could you elaborate on that?
You have gotten deeply into the economics of the outcome of that, and I don't know those answers. Derje, do you know if that 400,000, I don't know what you mean by delta, to be honest.
The difference. So I'm curious, when you say $400,000 in revenue, I guess I'm asking, you know, do we know how much they were generating in revenue, or are we saying that this is a $400,000 increase in revenue?
Okay, maybe Derje, I can touch on this first and you can provide some clarity. So the project that was funded through the church that Derje worked with, they funded more than just the tractor. They also funded the initial seed input, the fertilizer input, and the pesticide input. And so their total funding was a little over $80,000. And so the revenue off of that was approximately 400,000. So your delta is around 300.
Yes.
So
Had they done farming there before?
I am not, I mean, are you asking me about that particular land?
Yeah.
I don't know. I do not have any knowledge, but that group, this is the first time that they have done this with those organized farmers, the community. This is the first time they did it, but I don't know who else did work there. I have no knowledge.
So my follow-up question would be this. So for pesticides, kind of the materials that you need plus the tractor, the all-in price is 80,000. So 40,000 for the tractor, 40,000 for the materials. Now, is there a re-up of $40,000 annually that needs to be invested to make the $400,000 annually, or how does that work?
So I don't know if I understand your question, but what has happened is that when they have received the tractor, and because the land was really large, so they had to get a larger tractor and rented a tractor to help with the farming, and they were able to successfully complete the farm and then grow the crops and got the crops, and so that they could sell it. So what happened here is that as a result of their profit, they were able to buy their own tractors in the first year. So now they have their own tractor there. In other words, the program was so successful that they don't have to worry about getting this $30,000, $40,000 tractor. So because they can buy their own and then more, they can buy other things, they can buy seeds, they can buy fertilizers. So they really needed this boost, this one-time investment, so
Okay.
they can just stand on their own.
Great. Okay, so it becomes effectively a sustainable, like enclosed project in and of itself once you make the initial capital investment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The goal is for a portion of the revenue to be dedicated for mosquito control. So, and the purchase of mosquito control products and staff to do the mosquito control. What we're envisioning is really standing up a local government organization using this type of farming revenue. Not necessarily actual government, but a government-like organization that can draw on some of this revenue.
So John Winston, you had an observation or a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna first of all point out, I think this is a fantastic project, and it's also such a unique, novel way of addressing like the malaria issue through a community development, economic development approach. And I think that's really unique. I was going to ask if you have actually opened a grant application yet in the Grant Center, and
No.
I didn't see anything in
No.
there, but I'm glad that you're interacting with Cecilia, because Rotary does have a lot of issues about supporting projects that involve vehicles, for example. I mean, it's allowed, but the conditions are pretty strict, and it generally gets into what John was getting at, which is sustainability. You know, that being able to you know, manage how that vehicle manages and works into the economic future of the community. But as long as you're working with Cecilia Babrick, I have no questions and no concerns about it. She will make sure you don't go off the rails, and not only in terms of, you know, acceptance of the project through Rotary, but also her deep knowledge and experience in Ethiopia, which is so important right now because that is a challenging area to be doing grants. So that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, Wendy, you had an observation. I was just, if I might, I just wanted to slipstream John and John's comments. I would anticipate for a project like this, particularly one involving a mechanized piece of equipment like a tractor. I'll give you an example. We just recently were not able to get a water board in northern Belize to indicate to us that they could put together the go forward financial statement showing that the investment in a solar pumping system would in fact be that they could show a pro forma operating plan financially that showed how they could sustain that, how they could do the maintenance and operation on it, and cover it. They, you know, the reviewers were quick to point out the benefits of being able to have a reduced power bill due to electricity, but they wanted this additional information. And we found that the capacity of our local water board that we were working with was just not up to the task to be able to put that together. So be on the lookout for that and anticipate close scrutiny on that point. So just something to be aware of. And with that, go ahead, Whitney.
That's very good to know. And
Sustainability is a big thing. Yeah.
yeah, and I know that they have, you know, the current tractor that they have, you know, they have a repair program where they work on repairing it.
Right.
So I know that you know, it breaks because you run over rocks, and they've been able to keep it going. So we will definitely ask them how they did it.
I just wanted to find out, the initial cohort of farmers, have they formed an official cooperative? And are they performing together? Or are they performing together informally?
I don't
The
know.
Yoder group?
Yes, the Yoder group.
Yeah, so no, the Yoder group is functioning and we are partnering with them. So this Yoder group is not fixated just in one community. They go in the whole region of that northern part of the country, and they work with every community.
Okay, so do they then set up cooperatives within the villages that they are starting these projects?
Yes, they do. They have, I don't know how formal or informal it is, but they go and work with those people within a parameter of agreements. Like Eric was mentioning, the portion of the profit that they get would go into the mosquito fund, would go into the repair fund, would go into other expenses. So that's how it is done. Yes, they do have that kind of agreement. Yes.
Yeah, the organization that I worked for when I lived in Africa is called TechnoServe. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's TECHNOSERVE, and their website is technoserve.org. And you just may want to take a look at the kind of agricultural processes they put in place for their many projects. They form what's called a value chain to help sustain the selling of the products. And they deal with setting up a center where the products can be sold at one time. So a third party could come and say, okay, I know that on January 4th, this many tons or whatever of product will be available and I can go get it, as opposed to randomly going from farm to farm to farm to find out how much. but it's just something you may want to
Yes.
consider. And I believe TechnoServe has an office in Ethiopia.
Okay,
Not that this is a project that would fit what they do now, because they usually do it on a huge scale. So we're talking Gates Foundation scale. So you just may want to talk with somebody in that office and have them understand and maybe just give you some insights to set up what I think should probably be cooperatives that connect to a marketplace.
thank you very
That's
much.
very good. I Googled that up and I have it on my webpage now to look into.
Good, good.
Ah,
Thank you.
thanks, Wendy.
You're welcome. I think they do coffee.
Any other advice or questions?
Is it premature to discuss the relationship between, I think you touched on it in your slides, Eric, but how the lands that are going to be now farmed with the tractor relate to the areas where the mosquito abatement work needs to happen? How do those two thrusts, if you will, mesh up?
So Derje, you've been talking with them about them monitoring the mosquito breeding sources. Are those tightly linked to where they would be farming? Or are they more closer to the community with the farms being farther away from where people live?
So they have been working to get the baseline data about mosquito problems in the neighborhood and dipping, for larvae in any kind of standing water, starting from closer to the neighborhood and outer and outer into far from the communities, away from the communities. So they have been identifying like creeks or standing waters and things like that. So the nature of mosquito breeding in the land over there is such that, there is up and down. Every little crevices and stuff could hold water, just enough water to breed mosquitoes. So it is different in every community, every, a mile or whatever you travel. But it is within the reach of the neighborhood. But as far as the farming, whether it is in the farmland or not, like a rice field, that's not the case.
It's more that the revenues from the farming operation, one portion of that, if it's built into the agreements, could be allocated for mosquito abatement program development and implementation and ongoing effort. It's that kind of a connection,
Yes.
if you will. Yeah, I
Yes.
understand. I see what you mean.
And the survey has done that job as far as relating that information with the community, and they are being supportive of that greatly. So they're willing to work and to contribute to it, whether it is labor or money, that kind of thing. So,
And something that kind of I'd like just to bring out is that even though there's no funding behind this at all, the community that Derje has been working with, they've traveled long distances to get training at university on how to monitor mosquito abundance. They've gone out into the community to do the community assessment. They are engaged in this in a way that was surprising to me, to be honest. I didn't expect that level of enthusiasm and engagement over an idea. And these are physicians that are doing a lot of the work on the ground right now. So it's a surprising engagement that's really, by the professionals of the community and the leaders of the community. So that was something that I think is important to just, in my mind, when I think about this project, there's a lot of value that they have in this idea.
yeah.
I was just, excuse me, I was just going to ask if, as part of the funding, you may want to consider a mosquito nets for children as an interim until abatement really can happen.
So this program that, that's one of the things that we mentioned in here is the benefit of the tractor is to bring, I guess what you're asking is to bring in the mosquito nets ahead of time. We have not really thought about that, but what we thought about is that when they get their profits, one of the things that we'll be investing in is in mosquito nets to protect the children.
Right.
And that would go on for a couple of years until such time comes for them to be able to afford to build mosquito-proof homes. So that's also in the picture.
Right.
So
Okay.
that is more permanent solution. But what you said absolutely does make sense, and I will make a note of that, and I will share that with the group. If we can afford, to buy them or somehow get this funding for them to be able to get mosquito nets. Yes.
And maybe you just need it for the first harvest. And then once they have some income, they can agree that for each child, they will buy a mosquito net if there isn't funding provided.
Yes, that's an excellent idea. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Derge has envisioned a whole community. He's reimagined the communities where this program would be enacted, where it starts out small with mosquito nets, as Wendy suggests, and then building forward to mosquito proofing homes, and then improving sanitation and all these other benefits that we have, that we take for granted here. Of course, you're not going to be able to replicate the Bay Area in Ethiopia, but you could build mosquito-proof homes with the funding that's coming from this. If there's the mindset, and I think that's the real crucial difference between this project and the pilot project that he did with his church, which is really driving the mindset of economic growth, supporting mosquito control that will improve the health of the community, that will then improve the economic growth of the community. So full circle.
Yes.
Wonderful.
One
This
last
is what
comment.
Rotary is all about.
Yeah.
John?
Thanks. One last comment. First of all, I think winding back to the grant itself, which strikes me as more as a community economic development project, as an area focused rather than disease prevention and treatment, which is ultimately what you're
Right.
after.
That was Cecilia's recommendation also, yeah.
Right. So I think that the focus has to be rather narrow in that realm as far as the Rotary grant goes. But your big picture focus is your end game is mosquito abatement. I think that's fantastic. But when you're ready, first of all, you have a great advantage of having Carolyn on your team, because there's very few people that are as experienced in grants and know the way around it as her. So you're already way ahead of the game. But when you are ready to open a grant, and if you would like some input from our global grant reviewers, in addition to Cecilia, we have others that can provide it. Plus, we have resources. We've got this fantastic spreadsheet that once you've settled on your area of focus being community and economic development, there's this multi-part spreadsheet that will help. It will ask you all the questions that you're going to need to be able to answer in developing your grant application. And these are things that would expedite the approval of the grant process. And
that would be so outstanding to have those resources.
Yeah, when you're ready, let me know, and I will hook you up with the right person to show you where all that stuff is.
Yeah, like I said, I've worked around grants for federal government, but never in this realm, and I'm actually excited to try something new.
Right, and when you're ready, you got a job in my group, so keep that.
So Eric, by the way, are you a Rotarian, before Wendy asks her question? And if not, why not?
I am not, and I don't see why not. I mean, you guys look fun.
Sounds like you just need an
Where do you
invitation.
live, Eric?
I live in
Where do you live?
Castro Valley.
There's a wonderful Rotary Club there.
Yeah.
We'll get them on you.
That's awesome.
And
That'd be
Darigi
great.
too.
Yes, I live in Hayward.
Ryan is a member of Alameda, so we're in there. That's where it started. Yeah.
Great.
Good. Wonderful.
I just wanted to share that I put into the chat my email address.
I got it,
Lasaltos.
Wendy. Thanks.
Okay, good. So if you want to get back in touch with me, and I can send you the documents that are part of our process, et cetera.
Wonderful. Yes, I saw it and I made a note of your email. I'll be in touch.
Good.
Good.
Great.
And in terms of that kind of housekeeping, Eric, there was also a question from John Flanagan, if we could get a copy of the presentation. So if you can get that to me, either through Carolyn or whatever makes sense, I'll be happy to share it. It'll be a day or two before I get the report, the actions and so forth from this, but I'm happy to share that presentation if you like.
Yeah, I'll send it as a PDF just so it's easier to move around. Sound good?
Sounds good.
I'd like to make a comment of great thank you to Pat Coyle, who has done such an amazing job as the chair of International World Community Service. Thank you, Pat, for all the effort and energy and worry and concern. We've all appreciated it.
Oh, you're
And
too
we'll
kind, all of
continue
you.
to pick your brains, I'm sure.
Absolutely, Pat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Too
Pat.
kind. All righty, you guys. Is there anything else we want to cover together before we wrap this up? If not, I can go ahead and release us to the balance of our evening.
Well,
nice
it
to
was
see
a
you,
real
Oren.
pleasure talking with you all.
Thank
And I want to
you.
thank you again, Eric and Duroger for taking us through this along with Carolyn and Ryan. So thanks again. Very interesting.
Thank you hugely, Carolyn. This has been
Uh-huh.
great.
Thank
Good.
you.
Hi, Ryan. There you are
Thanks,
live.
I'm alive.
I'm a
On
little
kid duty.
concerned at how quiet Oren has been, though. That always.
No, I'm just, so I've got a couple of.
He
well,
was
I just got-
sleeping.
Yeah, just got back from, I'm on the East Coast time still. So John, I got 2 global grants that I think need my action. Should I just pop them to
Okay.
you? Or you?
I'll follow up with you. I'm
Okay.
aware. Yeah, thanks.
All
Thank
right,
you,
good.
everybody.
Good
Thank you
night,
again,
all.
Pat. You have been amazing.
You guys are too kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pat.